Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Cream live stream. It is officially 11:11. I'm Dave Perichin. I'm with my main man, RJ Papino. RJ, how's the vibe?
Little different vibe today. You see all the books behind me? I've read every single
Mm-hmm.
page. I
Absolutely.
am the smartest man in the universe. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
One of them.
Different vibe today. I'm here at the home office. Got some things going on at the house that I got to be here for, but I'm excited about having our guest today, Glenn Schwarm, the man, myth, and legend. I don't know if you guys had been following Glenn or Amber, his wife, but they were, they were really big in the real estate space. They still are, just in a different kind of way now. If you don't know them, they have a YouTube channel. They talk about all their adventures in real estate investing. And when we met them at a mastermind that we were part of together, they were doing some really cool things. It was COVID times at that point when we met,
Yeah.
and he had a really amazing framework of how to, manage during those times, and creating basically like a virtual culture, which is tough to do. But I took a lot of notes during that, and we tried our very best to emulate that. So I'm happy to talk to you again because it's been a while since that time.
Yeah.
I think that
I've
was the
always
last time.
I've always called our guest Glenn the Storm Schwarm because he makes it rain anywhere he goes.
How
Glenn,
about that?
welcome into our live stream. How's the vibe today? How you feel, man?
Doing great, man. Thank you, gentlemen. RJ, I don't have any books behind me. What does that say about my level of intelligence? I don't know if that's mine are all digitized now.
I
have
got
lots of books,
Bruce
but
Lee, bro. I got Bruce Lee
I saw
behind
that.
me. I'm ready to kill.
I have a chessboard that plays automatic. Oh, look at that. I don't know why it does that, but anyways, my chessboard behind me I can play with people around the world. That's about it. So cool.
Glenn, we're gonna get into some cool stuff here today because you run a very successful real estate flipping operation, a successful real estate operation, but you live 1,000 miles away. So we're gonna talk about how you did it. I mean, because you literally live 1,000 miles away. People are dying to know, how do I do this thing? Run it like a real business. So we're gonna pick your brain on that. But how are you making money in real estate right now? 2025. What's going on in your business right now? How's it going?
I'll tell you, I am not sexy. I don't follow trends. I am a steady Eddie kind of guy. We focus on single family, maybe small multifamily, but primarily single family. We do fix and flips. We do wholesales. We do what we call JVs, kind of our version of novation, if you will, a little bit different. And that's really where we spend our time doing that. We market for leads. We stay the course on focusing on first time home buyers primarily. That's the kind of the buy box that we spend our time in. I don't go after trends. I did for a bit. I had Airbnbs for a while. We could dive into that at some point. Backed out of that business because that was a fun experience for a few years. I did not want to be a hotel owner, which is exactly what we became. And so that's where we spend our time. Everybody's like, what's the latest and greatest? Because you go online, there's all these latest and greatest fads, or everybody's got the my way is the best. No, just keep buying real estate. People say, are you worried about tariffs? Are you worried about this and the economy? Are you worried about that? No, because people are always going to buy a house. Like I just stick to fundamentals. And so again, it's not sexy, but it works. It's always worked. And we started in 2007, 2008 when the market was tanking. That's when Amber and I started. So people don't understand that back then people were like, oh my God, real estate's the worst thing ever. And I put my blinders on and just said, it's all I can think of to do to make large chunks of money legally. So away we go.
Well, it's speaking to us. I mean, we're the same exact way. We focus on the steady Eddie affordable housing in single family houses is the best way that we encourage anyone who wants to get started. And that's what we do in our program. It's more of a done for you, kind of done with you program, but we focus in, man, affordable housing, producing a positive cash flow, fundamentals. This is exactly what we do. So right now in your current business, are you mostly doing flips or rentals, or kind of what's your business look like?
So we do about 100 deals a year, 100 houses a year, again, in upstate New York, in the Albany, New York market. We call it the capital region. I would have to get exact numbers, but probably someplace around 65 to 70% are either wholesale or a joint venture kind of a arrangement. Then we have another 20, 25%, however the math works out there, would be full on renovations, fix and flip. And then another 5% we hang on to for rentals. That's probably the best, simplest way to describe the whole thing. Anything that looks good, we can hang on to, we do. And that's how we do it.
I dig it. So where are most of these JV opportunities coming from?
So JV opportunities are, a deal where it doesn't need a lot of work or very little or none. And we are partnering with a seller to make it a little better in selling it. So we never actually take title to the house, right? So we've been doing that for 20 years. Right? The third deal we ever did was like that. Yeah, we kind of invented it. It was before social media, before all that stuff. We sort of invented it back then. And they're leads, right? So we do a ton. We spend, oh gosh, I have to look, $60,000 a month on marketing. And so we're on TV. We do direct mail. We do all the online PPC and all that stuff too, and stuff I don't even know about because my team runs it for me, so it's better. But we do all of that. We have an office building, everything that people stopping as they see our big sign out front. But so the phone rings all the time. So we're able to sift through those and decide how do we best make money on this transaction, right? Should we wholesale it? If it's not an area that we don't love or an area we don't think is going to be a good flip for us, we'll wholesale it. We can, you guys know you're making $15,000 to $50,000 on those things, probably 15 to 16 on average. I think that's probably about where we are. That's
how
about
much.
the volume.
How much are you putting in on the properties? Meaning, how much rehab are you putting into the properties that you're JVing? Is it like a full blown rehab? Is it
could be
light cosmetic? Could be
all different. Yeah, all different. We've taken on fire restoration houses like that. We've taken on just clean up, making it look better. A lot of times we are trying to get more and more into not touching the house. We have one right now that we've not touched, and it looks like we can clear around 40 or 50 when the dust settles and never touch it. So that's, we're actually in the phases of starting to figure that out, which again, I guess most people would call a novation. We have different paperwork that helps us navigate that. And so I think differently than other people do in what they teach. So again, it just depends on the situation. I think we're very situational when it comes to each and every deal. If we can make it look better, everything for me is just like you guys. If I can invest $1 and bring back $5, I'm going to invest that dollar all day long. If I invest $1 and bring back $1, maybe I just sell it as is,
Absolutely. And it's like the amount of energy that you got to put in, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Right.
We all have the same amount of time, so we want to be as practical as possible. Cash conversion cycle is something we talk quite a bit about.
Ooh.
Sometimes the quick nickel is better than the slow and painful dime.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the time you get that dime, it's been long spent 10 times over. So yes, cash conversion cycles are definitely a killer that you have to learn how to navigate in this business for sure.
So your main operating business, you said, is that Kavanaugh region within upstate New York, correct?
Capital region. It's
capital region.
Yeah, Albany's the capital of New York. Most people think it's New York City, but it's the capital of New York, so it's the capital region of New York.
Got it. And you live in what part of Florida?
We are in St. Pete. It's a town called North Reddington Beach on the beach. We're on the Gulf of America. That's where we are. So
Gulf of America. There you go, buddy. What does your team look like, and how does the reporting and whatnot work back in New York? Because it's not like you're like doing the work, right? You're like a business owner. So how does this all look and work and whatnot?
You want me to take you a little history lesson just real quick, so you know how I got here?
Absolutely.
So as a business owner, you always sort of dream of that, right? Like, okay, can I have a business that kind of runs without my input? Which, by the way, is not all it's cracked up to be. I'll talk about that in a minute. So remind me to circle back to that. But during COVID, we had to become a virtual company because we lived in New York with, we had Lord Cuomo up there, Mr. Disgrace now, but Mr. Lord Cuomo that was running things. We shut everything down and we couldn't do anything. And so we had to go work virtually. And so it wasn't long into that. It was in January, so almost a year into it, that we came down to a leadership event in Orlando. And while we're here, we looked at a house and we're like, why are we staying like we're virtual? What? Why are we in New York? Our kids aren't in school. I can't
Yeah, I
leave.
don't
It's
blame you.
cold. It's miserable. We've
Yeah.
always wanted to live on the beach. It's always been our dream.
I love
Now,
that.
I wasn't thinking how great it was that mortgage rates were below 3%, right? Until I called my mortgage broker and said, gosh, here's a house on the beach. This is way out of my range, I think. And all of a sudden he's like, well, here's the payment. I'm like, huh?
Mm.
Why? What? No, you're wrong. He's like, no, Glenn, rates are, you can get it for 2.2 3/4. I'm like, what? So I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about that. So one thing led to another, and we ended up moving down here.
Sweet.
And so when I moved here, let me take you on the journey, because I think that people think, wow, he figured that out. No, I screwed up a lot, and I lost a lot of money in this process. I think it's really important to talk about that. So I had a guy running the company that actually wanted to fire the woman who now runs my company. Okay. But it didn't happen overnight. So he wants to fire her one day. She was with me in my education company, but she worked for me in the flipping business full time. And she had been with me for about 4 years at that point. And he came to me and said, we have to get rid of Meg. And I said, what? He said, yeah, she's not doing a job. I said, well, if we're going to get rid of her, I'm going to get rid of her, because I brought her into the other business, and I want to at least have a respectful conversation with her, because I have a lot of respect with her. And I called her and said, so pretty much we're going to move you to the brokerage, and we're going to take you out of this business, blah, blah, blah. And she calls me and says, yeah, so that's not going to happen. And I went, what? And she said, you're getting fed misinformation. You live 1,000 miles away. You don't know what's going on up here. I'm going to tell you right now what's going on up here. So she did. Long story short, a few months later, I ended up firing the guy that wanted to fire her, and hired a different. So people say, wow, you must have hired her. No, I hired a different guy to come in and be a COO. Outside the industry, I thought, let's get a business guy outside. Well, by the way, when that guy ran the business, I lost about $300,000 that year.
So was he trying to get rid of her because she had information about the loss, and he was trying to hide it from you?
I don't know. Like, I think he just was a really, really bad manager. I think his heart was in the right place, but just a chaotic, messy. When he came in, I had another COO I was trying to build the business with, and his first day, she actually resigned. I'm like, okay. So I just threw him in the role, right? I wasn't thoughtful, right? I threw him in the role. And so I hired another guy, came in from the pharmaceutical industry. Well, he was there for a year. He was not good. And I lost another $300,000 that year. So 2 years back to back, I'm losing money. I'm in Florida. I'm not moving back to New York. I'm not leaving the sunshine to move back to misery and debt and everything. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And so when I fired him, I fired like 6, 7 people at the same time. Is this story boring, you guys? I'll make sure I know it's long, but
no, I'm actually interested.
Okay,
the drama is what sells. I mean, I see
okay.
that subscribers are flying in like crazy hotcakes right now. This is amazing.
So during that time, it was right around Christmas time, I fired half the company, which was we had about 16 people, and I fired 8 of them overnight. Now, here's a tip for any business owner. If you're going to fire 8 people, I did it via Loom videos. Because if you tell somebody virtually you're going to fire them, that's going to spread long before your message gets out to them, right? So I did 8 people. I sent all the videos at midnight. Bam, here we go. Boom. I sent the videos out and said, all right, here we go. And I let 8 people go. And I told Meg and another gentleman that worked for me, I said, I'm going to put you two kind of side by side to run your departments. One's marketing, one's operations. And I said, we'll see kind of who shines. Well, a year later, I ended up bringing Meg in and said, listen, I need you to run everything day to day. And she said, what would I be doing? And I said, I listed all these things you'd be doing for me. And she said, so pretty much what I do now. I go, right. So brought her in as a marketing director. And about a little over a month ago, we promoted her to official COO. But she runs my day-to-day operations in New York. And again, I share that very quick abbreviated story because it was a journey to get there. A lot of loss, a lot of pain, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of fear, a lot of what the hell's going on up there in New York, a lot of me flying back going, what's happening in this office? I don't get it, and that kind of stuff. And why are we losing? Why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? And she came in, and with the help of a coach, right? We have Amanda from Sharper. You guys probably know Amanda Dean, but she's been unbelievably amazing at coaching Meg. And we were able to turn that thing around, and we'll probably clear 7 figures this year in a net profit after all is said and done, after losing years prior significant amounts of money. So to answer your question, Meg runs the day-to-day operations. She's got, she has an office manager. She's got a woman that we named Crystal, who's amazing with us too. She's director of people, pace, and culture. That's the title of her, Director of People, Pace, Culture. Does little HR stuff, little moving people along, charts, graphs, that kind of stuff. And then we have our sales. We have one sales guy that runs the sales. We have outside VAs that run lead management, all that kind of stuff. We have a project manager that runs all the projects. We have helpers that do stuff around, plus contractors and yada yada. So that's the operation, and they really. Let me just, in one sentence, I'll describe my relationship with Meg, because as a visionary, which one of you guys is the idea? Are you both idea people, or is one of you the idea?
We're blended. We're blended. We went through this exercise, so we're both captains. We're both in our own ways visionaries, and stuff like that. So we got like a two-headed monster over here.
So you understand
in the coaching business. RJ is definitely the visionary, though. He's on the cutting edge of fulfillment, and because we bring on a lot of people and help a lot of people get in the game.
Yeah.
And his ideas are the ones that have been really getting traction for other people, which is cool.
Well, I asked that question because I am a maverick, according to our PI, right? So I'm a maverick, and I'm a visionary, and I can't help but have ideas. I just can't. And if you guys are visionaries, you can't help it. They just come in your head. You can't help it. The problem I've had to learn is that not every idea is a great one, right? And at the moment, we all think it's a great idea. Oh my God, I gotta go! It's a great idea. And it's not always a great idea. And so, Meg, one day, probably about 6 months ago, I left her a voicemail. I pick up my phone. I go, I got this great idea. Blah, 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 blah. I leave her some audio message, and here's her response back to me: "Go take a nap." And I bust out laughing because that's our relationship. She knows, that was a good idea. You sit on that for a bit. We'll touch base on that again in a minute, because she knows I have a job to do, and my job is to run this operation and execute your vision here. Now, don't distract me. If she knows if I really want to do something, I'll push, and she'll say, okay, well, what do you want to give up to do that? Because I can't do everything.
I think that's a good point that you point out, because she has enough courage to speak up and let you know and put you in your place. And so where the whole visionary integrator and that whole mix of EOS fails is when you hire the wrong person and you think that they're really good because they're taking stuff off your plate, but it's basically tasks off your plate, and you really think they're really good because they did something that, so you hire them for the wrong reasons, right? We all made that mistake. But what they're really doing, your highest performers are going to push back. They're going to push back. They're going to say, hey, look, I know you're in this mood and moment where you have all these ideas, but that can be put here and, put over here in a parking lot or whatever, because that's not what's important now in this quarter. We already went through this exercise, and this is a great idea, but there's layers to it, and you can't be implemented right away because we think that it happens like that. Yeah. Because that's how we are. We're all impatient.
Oh yeah.
And so just, speaking to that, and because we have done the same thing, we've hired the wrong people. We think that they're good because they're in this industry and they had all these direct reports, and, no, it's not. This is the housing business. It's different.
Yeah.
You can't put somebody who ran, our fault, and it was gas stations, to run a housing business, a real estate company. It's different, right? It's just, there's so many different variables. So, for the ones listening, when you're hiring, or you're at the stage where you're hiring for people, just don't hire the wrong people because, it's taking tasks off your plate. Oh, I need this done, or I need that done. Look at what you're actually delegating and hire the right people to do that, because you just might need an assistant, not a COO level person to do your assistive work. It's like
that's very true. Yeah, people screw that up a lot. I did too. You hire people that you think are great, and you're like, oh my God, but it's not. You need to have, if you want to be able to step away, you need someone that can make decisions. And also, the best word you said was courage. You gotta have the courage. I say the guy with the balls to stand up to the boss and say, so I appreciate what you're saying. Don't be disrespectful when you say it to me. Don't say, you're an idiot, but say, listen, let me find a way to joke and say this to you nicely so I can get you to listen to me. I got a job to do here. Let me do my job. And, if you have that person, it's amazing what they can do, because she's 100 times better than me at management. I'm a good leader and starter and visionary. She's good at the day-to-day. I suck at it. The problem is when you think you're good and you suck. That's the problem, because you'll cause chaos in your business, and you'll wonder why you never get your foot off the pedal. You think, I'm going to go for it, and your foot's in the brake at the same time. You're just spinning your wheels there, and you're like, I don't know why I'm not going any place, because you probably suck as a manager, leader, different things.
Can I ask you a question? So you had to weather some storms here.
Oh yeah.
The first storm happened. Wait, in your story, you got that first guy tried to fire everybody, and then you're like, no.
Wait,
Then
that's the first storm? No, but go ahead.
well, in this
In the
episode,
story, we'll go with that.
so and then the other guy that didn't work out, and then you kind of rehashed everything out again.
Yeah.
So what basically saved you and Amber to weather this storm? Was it? I mean, I know this is kind of personal, but
No, let's
this
dive
is
in.
going to help. This is going to help everybody that's trying to scale,
Mhm.
because it's probably not the time to scale and hire all these people. And I'll get to my other point with that. But how did you weather that? You know, you tried one thing, it didn't work. Did you use savings? Did you have to run the flipping for a little while company to get consistent revenue? Because you know, you mentioned here you had a family, you have expenses, you had to pay rent, or a house bills and car and
Yeah.
da da da. Like,
Yeah.
how did you weather that storm?
So, are you asking mentally or financially?
Let's start with financially and then go mentally.
Okay, so financially, we've had to leverage some of our assets to do that, right? We had to borrow money to get through the tough times. We had some, but when it starts going out in the tens of thousands per month, it's like, here we go. We got to make sure we jump all over that, because some months are worse than others, right? You might make a 50 grand profit one month, and then you lose 200 grand the next month. So it's like some months you're like, whew, the next month you're like, oh my god. So we had to leverage assets and borrow money to get through that. So thank God we have rentals too, right? We have rentals, so that's where a lot of that was.
And this is what we teach, like the importance of owning rentals, because when you have real estate, specifically single family real estate,
Correct.
you can choose which ones you can sell. And you know, I'll be candid too. Like, we had to do that also. Like, it's not perfect over here. We had assets that we bought. Thankfully, we bought back in 10, 11, 13 when they were 10K a piece to weather the storms.
Yeah.
It's easier to do that with single family than it is multifamily, because there's only so many buyers for multifamily, these big, you know, units, or even medium-sized units.
Yeah.
Single family, and you know, just real quick, the reason why we like that: most financing available, most buyers, most renters, most exit strategies.
Yeah.
So, and
Agreed.
in times where you need it to make pivots, like what Glenn did, what Dave and I had to do, is you can sell an asset. When you don't have assets, if you just focused on flipping and you don't own anything, you got to look at other means to survive. Like, you know, whatever, you may have to take out a personal loan or something.
Most people don't make it. I mean, most people wouldn't have made it through that. That's a lot. It's a lot. It was for me. That was a lot to take on. I could have sold the asset. I decided to leverage them because I would like to hang on to them, right? So, and we're still paying that back, but we're getting way ahead of it now. But it's been a minute. It's not been easy, and you have to be able. So mentally, you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with the risk. You're taking a gamble on yourself. You've got to be okay with the mental side of it. And the other mental side of it is I just don't know how to quit. I'm too stupid to quit. I guess that's probably what a lot of people are like, well, I would have shut my business. Matter of fact, my coach, who you guys know, was down here at my house. We had both my companies here. We had about 25 employees here we had our annual planning meeting. And at that time, he said, that flipping company, shut it down. I said, what? I'll never forget. Right in my kitchen bar. Shut it down. I go, shut it. What do you mean shut it down? Shut it down. It's not going to make money. Move on. What the hell are you talking about? Move on. I don't even know. I remember giving it real consideration. Like, I thought, well, he's my coach. Maybe it's right. And then I just sit back and go, wait a minute. It's my life. It's my business. I have to look in the mirror and be happy with what I did. Yeah. And I don't have it in me. Plus, to lay off good people, because once you have good people, you want to keep your business going for them a lot of times. A lot of times, that's what drives you. Like, I got good people. If I lose them, you know how hard it was to find those freaking people. I don't want to have to go find new people because they're hard.
They're hard. Yeah, it is.
Hard to find. Yeah. And they'll, again, for me, they'll change your life. Look, I spent this morning, I was on the beach before I came here, not trying to be a bragger, but I walked where I live. I live on the water. I'm looking right out now over. I'm looking at my jet skis, looking at the water. We have a dock and everything, and then on the intercoastal, and then I'm a 4 or 5 minute walk. My feet are in the sand and on the Gulf.
Amazing.
And so I get to do that, and I have to have moments where I'm like, because I'm just like everybody else. I get pissy. I don't reach my goals sometimes. I get annoyed, and then I have to sit back and go, all all right, knock it off. Quit being a bitch. Like, just this is ridiculous, dude. Like, you're on the beach bitching. Stop. You know, you have to sort of grab yourself and say, you got kids. I love them. I'm healthy. They're alive. Oh my God, stop. Like, get some perspective on life. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we're always pushing for that next level. And I don't think I'll ever stop pushing the next level. There's a fine balance between pushing the next level and enjoying the moment you're in. And I don't think all of us are great at that. I'm not.
No, I don't think a lot of people that are watching this are great at it. How have you, so I lost my train of thought because I'm thinking about the beach now, but
how is Dave so damn good looking? That's what I was wondering. The same question.
I'm reading the comments and everybody's just commenting on, that exact thing. So, no, I just want to acknowledge your mindset. It's like you're a quintessential entrepreneur. Like I've been kind of into a lot of books, and we're personal development guys. We're junkies, man. I mean, constantly listening to something that inspires me. And, I've really taken a liking to Andrew Carnegie. He was a
old school. Yeah. Good
old
stuff.
school, and his
Good
biography
stuff.
and the shit that he went through. And he was the same way. He's like, it's just persistence, man. I mean, he just never gave up. And we have little problems and challenges in our life, and we all deal with it. I don't care if you're Andrew Carnegie or, Glenn Schwarm or RJ Pepino. We got to just not give up. It's such a thing. And I think a lot of people deal with that and struggle with that, but it's a little bit easier when we're kind of hanging out together and we can all be in this thing together. And hopefully this channel and this message resonates with people who are watching it. If I could share anything that I've learned from Glenn so far is don't give up.
Yeah, that's a big message that I wrote down too. Perseverance, the mental side of it, because it's almost like you got to train yourself how to feel bad most times, because it's going to happen a lot of times in this journey. You feel good, and when you do feel good, right, you close a big deal or you help somebody acquire financial freedom, whatever it is, it stays with you for a little bit, and then you're on to the next. And what happens most of the time is like you're feeling bad a lot, so you gotta get good at feeling bad. There's always stuff that happens, bad things happen every day.
I told you guys that. Oh, I'm sorry, RJ. Continue. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Oh no, so I have a question, but just to finish my thought, it just doesn't happen overnight though. You have to continually work on it every day. Whenever you have your own like free time to, think back and reflect and work on yourself, it's really important to work on that mental piece, because it'll beat you down to the point of giving up. Luckily, you guys have myself and Glenn and Dave. We ain't giving up, no matter how bad it gets.
Yeah, I've quit 1,000 times, but the next second I pick it up. Yeah, I literally in my head I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. I can't. Oh my God, this is terrible. Literally in the next minute. That's a good idea though. What if I tried that? And I'm like, oh my God, Glenn. Sometimes I want to. I'm like, got this devil and angel.
We're so resourceful. We're so resourceful. We all have resourcefulness coming out at the times of under pressure, right? But what were you going to say, Glenn? What was your thought?
Talk about reaching goals, and the problem, I think this is a challenge for guys like us, is that you reach a goal. I used to hear Tony Robbins talk about this, and I was like, I don't understand, but now I do understand. I had a lifelong goal of living on the beach. Lifelong goal. 4 years ago, that happened. There's something strange. You're like, it's exciting. And then you get complacent. You're like, there's a lot of sand around here. And you start bitching about it. You're like, oh my God, like when I first moved here, it was great. But you start getting used to the goal that you reached, and you start to take it for granted. And I think, and I'm speaking about me. I think other people do the same thing. We reach a goal and we forget where we were 4 years prior, 2 years prior, 10 years prior. We forget where we came from to get there. And we get really complacent with it, and we lose appreciation and we lose gratitude. I think the minute we lose gratitude for life and everything we have accomplished, I think that we stop accomplishing the next level.
Without a doubt.
I'm speaking to me, and I'm just saying, the minute I start saying, well, my jet ski doesn't go as fast as it used to be. Shut up. Like, stop your pissing and moaning. And I, there's just things, when you reach a goal, it's never what you think it is. I don't care if you say, I'm going to have 7 figures in the bank. Well, I've been there. And when you get there, it's like, yeah, this is going to fix all my problems. No, nothing changed. Same day, same Glenn. It's hard to describe to somebody else. Not that you shouldn't be going for it, but I think it's important we find the balance, like find where we're going to, how we're going to get there, execute that plan, but enjoy the moment that we're in and be grateful for it. You have to, or you'll never get to that next level. Never get there.
Correct. This is like mathematics, bro. This is like spiritual law. Like, you know, I'm not here to get woo-woo, but JC, you know, in Mark 11:24, that's what he's talking about, is like when you pray for something, you got to pray as if you already have it. Right. Yeah. So you got to like be in the present moment, grateful and appreciative for what you currently have, or you will not get anything else. Like this is the law. It's the way it works. You know, so if you want to have the bank account that you want, you got to love the bank account that you have, right? You got to like be grateful for right now, because as soon as we find ourselves wasting away this present moment with bitching, moaning, victim mentality, we're going to essentially create more of the essence of that.
Yep.
So if we can remain in gratitude and appreciation is the easiest way to stay in the good vibe. Like, yes, we all got something to be grateful for, you know?
Oh yeah. Just gotta stay focused on that. I'm reading a book right now called I'm the second time reading it, called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Oh, bro, Joe Dispenza. I'm a huge
really
Dispenza.
What a great book, Quantum Physics. I'm like, wow, brother. The more I read it, I'm like, oh my God, so true, so true. I lived in this beach house long before I lived in this beach house. It just was in my head. You know, I thought about it all the time. Now it's a little different than I originally thought. The house isn't quite the same. I'm on the intercoastal as opposed to the beach, but those are all conscious choices I made along the way because of how my dream laid out. But my God. Yeah.
It's awesome. Generous present moment. So if you really want to go down the rabbit hole,
sure.
I want you to look at, are you familiar with the double slit experiment?
No.
All right. So maybe I'll send it. And everybody watching this, check out the double slit experiment.
Are you saying slit? S-L-I-T?
S-L-I-T. Yes. So so quantum physics is essentially, and this is what Dispenza teaches, it's basically proving the existence of God. But it's not this God that's in the sky that's going to judge you the way that when you die and it's going to determine what happens next. No, it's the underlying energy of all things that connect us all. That is it. It's being proven with quantum physics. So they had this little machine and they were firing particles into like a board that had a slit in it. And naturally, as they were observing it, every particle they fire at this thing, it created on the other side of the board a straight line, because the particles that made it through the slit create a straight line on the other side of the board, right? Now, what they realized is when no one was observing it, when no one was observing this test, it didn't even act as a straight line. It came out on the other side as if it was just a wave, meaning electrons that in a microscopic level on the smallest particles that make up our physical reality is not even a particle. It's not even real. It's not matter. It's energy. They've proven it. So literally things fall into place. Energy falls into matter when it's observed. It's the craziest thing. It's like, I couldn't think of this if I tried. I'm not trying to like get woo-woo. This is a science thing. This is a laboratory thing. So they've literally proven that nothing is physical matter until you observe it.
Yeah.
So then the question is, and this is Dispenza's teachings and everything else, who is the observer? That's your soul. That is your true self, right? So you get to choose every day who you're going to be. And Jesus and all the great spiritual masters have talked about free will. You have the free will to choose who you're going to be. And that is going to determine what you do and then what you have. We are conditioned and programmed to flip that on its head. Oh, when I have this experience, then I'll be happy. I'm going to sit here and bitch and moan and feel like a victim. But when I have this thing, then I'll be happy. And then you're never going to have the thing. It's impossible to have the thing because you're not being it first. You got to be first. It's insane. And that's my rant on this, but
it's good.
Dispenza.
Very deep, but very good stuff. It's very true. Very true.
It's the
Very
most
true.
true thing for
It's
me.
crazy. It's crazy to think about it because it's a lot of this stuff is you've seen it and then you actually, if you look at past things that you've acquired or brought into your life, it all started with a thought, an idea of
Everything.
actually, everything. This house, this stuff behind me, this thing, this laptop, everything.
Yeah.
So, real quick, one last thing. Let's talk about business. What do you recommend? You've been through some iterations in your business and people and growth. And what do you recommend, or any tips for somebody that wants to scale their business and get some people into their business so that they can actually get to the point where you're at, where you have an operation now and can basically detach from the day to day? Like what are some tips? It could be 1, 2, or 3, or maybe one big thing before they get to that point of like, I'm going to scale, but like, what are the elements
Well, I
that
think
needed?
you can't scale if you don't have the right people. I mean, it's just 100% that you have to have the right people and the right, if you really want to step out, you have to have the right person, because then someone's going to have to replace you. Right. So, and then once you find that person, you have to pour yourself into that person. And the minute you realize they're not the right person, they gotta go, or they can go to another part of your organization. Right. But they don't necessarily have to go, but they may have to go. But you have to be really smart about that decision, because I've had a lot of people I've hung on to for way too long, because you're praying and hoping. Oh, I got so much time on that person. I don't want to let them go because, gosh, I got to go find somebody again. But we just kid ourselves when we do that. And so you have to have the right person. I tell you that you have to find people that are good at that are great at what you're good at, or great at what you're average at, or great at what you suck at. But you have to find those people and then pour yourself into them. Like, really try to make their life amazing, and forget about you. Try and make their life amazing. Listen, if I was focused on me, I'd have shut that business down 4 years ago, when we started losing money. COVID, it was tough. I would have just shut it down. But I was focused on them and their success. And so, again, the people that I was focused on weren't showing they were going to be good, so I had to let them go. Again, should have done it sooner, but didn't. And then when I finally got the right person, I pour myself into her. I hire coaches for her. She's got multiple coaches that work with her on a regular basis. I am there. I try and stay out of her way best I can, but I'm very supportive. And right during our meetings once a week, one of my questions is, how can I support you this week? How am I not supporting you, and how could I support you? At one point she said, you're not showing up enough. Like, what do you mean? She goes, pop into our meetings once in a while. I want people to know you that I've hired. They don't even know who you are. Okay, so I do that. Now I go back to New York every couple months because my family's right there. And I pop in and say hi, and we'll do lunch or something. And hey, Glenn's here. Great. It's a cool experience, but you have to have the right people. That's, if you're going to scale. Again, scale is kind of a volatile word sometimes. But if you want to get bigger, if you want to grow, if you want to have peace in your life, however you want to say what scale. People think scale is I have to do $100 million. That's the world we live in. Got to be a billionaire. No, you don't. No, you just need to be happy and you live a great life, right? So just if you want to find someone to run your business for you, pour yourself into that person. Find them and pour yourself into them.
What about because we're in a we know our cash conversion cycles with flipping and like, when do you think it's time from a financial standpoint? How much do you need in your personal or business account to make that decision on, like, okay, we can scale here? What have you seen?
How much you have to have in your bank account to scale? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. To hire, talking salary.
I didn't have any,
commission.
so I don't know. I don't know if there's a number. I think there's a desire. I think not everybody wants that life. If you're a control freak and you love controlling everything, every aspect of it, some people can't walk away from their business. So I think you should evaluate, do you want to? Because there is a psychological side to this that I have not discussed with you, that I've had to navigate through, and that is feeling like you lost your purpose.
Yeah.
There's been moments where I've sat back, because I think I shared with you before we started that I had an education business, VestorPro, that was a big business. It was doing great, multi-millions of dollars a year, and it was doing great. And I zigged when I should have zagged about 18 months ago. And so we're in a spot where we're rebuilding that. And there's not a lot going on at the moment right there besides supporting our existing students. But on the other side of the business, when I started to not have something to do every day, yet my business was successful, this is going to sound crazy, I felt lost. I legitimately, now I know some people go, oh, give me a break. No, legit, like when you've done such a good job, not that I've done a great job, but when you've done such a good job of finding the right people and not micromanage them and let them do their job, you don't have a purpose. Like you wake up every day going, so no one really needs me today. Now they do need me, right? Because when there's an investor problem, I have to go raise capital, or when there's stuff I have to do here and there, but it's few and far between as opposed to daily. So there's a mental side to that. So I think you have to be ready mentally. So number one, are you ready mentally to step out of your business? Do you really want that? Because you have to find something else to do with your time, right? So do you really want that? And if you do want it, you got the right person. It'd be good to have some capital. If you could have 3 to 6 months of operating capital in the bank, that's probably a good idea. If you had a year, that'd be even better. But it's tough in our business because that money's tied up because of the cash conversion cycle, it's tied up in operations for a long time till we get it back, right?
Yeah.
So we have we call it a bad month of written business. We don't feel that this month. We feel it in 6 months.
Yeah.
So we all know how that goes. So yeah.
That's awesome. So what's the best way to connect with you? Our listeners probably want to do that. Is it your YouTube channel you said?
Yeah, I think YouTube. YouTube's probably the best place. You can go on Facebook as well, but YouTube is
I tried to put some in here and it came out gibberish. So let me get out of here. I'm going to say YouTube, Glenn and Amber, right?
Yeah, it's Glenn and Amber Schwarm. Yeah. Our social media blew up. We picked up like 70,000 followers during the hurricane last year. Yeah, the hurricane was like, people were like, maybe that guy will die. Let me see. It was crazy. It was crazy, but that's on the Facebook. So a lot of those folks are still kind of following. But yeah, and we haven't done a ton of social. We are like I said in the education space. We are looking to get more granular on who we really serve. So we're investigating a lot of that right now.
That's awesome. Well, I think so. We're going to wind this down. But Dave, do you have anything else to add here?
I do actually.
Put how to connect with Glenn. So YouTube and then also Facebook. So if you type in their names, Glenn and Amber Schwarm, right there, connect.
You'll find us. Yeah.
And continue to follow them because they're going to be coming out with something amazing. I bet. I've seen their stuff before. Yeah. So definitely do not sleep on these two individuals. But go ahead, Dave.
Sure. So I have something interesting about Glenn and Amber, and this takes me back to when I was in the NICU for 5.5 months. It's in the hospital every day, and there was two people, who consistently would check on me because they had walked that path as well. You had a premature baby.
Yep.
You guys were in the NICU. So they were always, and I think I met you maybe face to face, right? I mean, it's not like we were old chums that we were hanging out all the time, but they were always checking on me. So that just tells you a little bit about Glenn and Amber. They were checking on me, making sure I'm doing good. I'll never forget that, bro. I appreciate you.
My boy who was a preemie turns 10 next week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we get through it, but those are dark days. In fact, I'm going to give a little shout out. Do you know Clay Manship? Do you happen to know that guy? He's a real estate investor out of, I think, Indiana. I've been checking in with him. So, we passed the baton. I'm kind of that guy. I've been sending him text and whatnot, just like you used to send me text. He's going through it himself right now. So I'll never forget that, bro. I appreciate you.
Good. Well, good. I appreciate you too, man. I knew how dark that was. I knew how hard it was. So
it is very tough. It's a very tough time. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
That doesn't kill us only makes us stronger, right?
Exactly.
Yes, indeed.
We pray for personal growth and development. We all want to be bigger and better. Well, God, the quantum field, the universe, whatever, it's all the same thing. Yep. It blesses you with challenges to overcome. That's the only way.
You got that right.
Adversity, contrast. This is how you grow.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate you saying that, man. Good
sure.
stuff. And I'm glad it all worked out because that could have, I'm just glad. I still follow you. I still check out everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Still going through some things, but it's only making us stronger at the end of the day. I was really excited to have you on here, and I've already sent you a text message. Now that I kind of know what you're into, look out. I'm going to be hitting you up a lot now.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, guys. It was a lot of fun today. Hopefully your viewers found some value there.
Excellent. So make sure you like, subscribe. We appreciate all the support on the channel. If you're watching this video, it's been a great conversation with Mr. Glenn Schwarm. Unfortunately, we didn't have Amber here today, but she is very active in the business as well. Make sure you follow them. And we will see you all same time next week, 11/11 on Wednesday. Glenn, thanks again. Everybody.